Hi, my name is Javier Osvaldo Candelas. Between centers. As someone who was born in the early 80s, technically, technological, I am millennial, but I only feel that this is partly true. I feel like maybe I am between two generations. For me, a millennial is someone who grew up with the computers, the internet, and mobile phones, and doesn't remember life before decent things. That isn't true of me. I was only in early 1990 that the internet as we encountered it was born. Most people didn't even have a computer at home. I think it was 13 when we got our first computer around 15 when we got the internet. Of course, since my teenager years, computer have become part of our everyday lives. In 1995, less than 1% of the world population used the internet. Now over 50% uses it in some countries. Almost everyday home was a computer. It is incredible just how quickly many of us have become depend on them. It's not it is not just the number of computers and the ability of the internet that was changes. The technology itself was involved a lot since the 90s. At the end of the last century, there was no broadband, and it took several minutes to download a photograph and others to download a single song. Nowadays, we can stream movies and music instantly, and we can even use our phones to do it. This had had, had this has had a big impact on our lives. Now many people watch TV on their computers, read books and newspapers on their phones, and do the shopping without going to the supermarket. It was also changes the way we communicate. Emails were replaced letters and although we still make phone calls, the amount of calls we make was decreased thanks to instant message apps. Only computers and the internet cars have around since the end of the 19th century. Since then, the number cars on the road has stopped increasing. Now there are over million cars on the road around the world. This was created pollution and congestion problems. It was never be so necessary to find alternative solutions. These solutions have not been completed completely found yet, but electric and hybrid cars have become more popular in some places, and there was being more invested invested in these technologies who were however at the moment electric and hybrid cars are still quite expensive, which means that many people cannot afford to buy them. In some cities, there have also been attempts to improve the public transport network and to encourage drivers to leave their cars at home. For example, in Mexico City, the Metrobus system has been introduced and expanded to increase the coverage of the transport network, and In London, the drivers now have to pay to enter the city, and although these efforts have not been sufficient, they are a step in the right direction. Airplanes are another big contribution from the 20th century. For many aircraft had carried passengers through the skies, but it was perhaps only in the 1980 that air travel became shaper. The creation of the Boeing 747 jumbo jet was every very important moment. Its size and efficacy made that for the first time air travel was unaffordable for many people for nearly 50 years. This, this plan was flown passengers around the world. Now, as technology develops even more, the jumbo jet is near retirement, and is this being replaced with newer, more efficient plans? Air travel was the world. It was connected countries around the globe before commercial air travel. If people wanted to travel long distances, they needed to go by boat. That could take days, weeks, of short times, even months. But now, in a matter of hours, we come at our destination, even if it's on the other side of the world. That was entirely contribution to globalization, as companies can now more easily do business in other parts of the world. It was also allowed people to visit countries on the other side of the world. The number of air passengers per year was increased almost every since the start of the 21 centers in 2016. There was nearly three times more passengers carried per year in 20,000. Since then, the number increasing to over 4 billion. Medicine is another area where there have been amazing develops, developments. One example of this is the incredible improvement in the treatment of HIV. Human, human immunodeficient virus in the early 19, 1990. The disease was effectively a death sentence, and before 1995, over over 50% of people with the virus died due to AIDS, which is caused by HIV. Since the new treatments have been found, thanks to these new treatments, the mortality rate of people with the disease was falling by an incredible amount. It was just 15% between 25 and 29. People with the virus can now live long, healthy lives whose just over 20 years ago, years old person with the virus was expected to live around 39 years of age. Now, if they receive treatments and live healthy, they can live to over 70. It's clear the the 20th century was an amazing period in the study of sciences and technology, but we are still advancing, and we'll have to wait and see what new develops are around the corner.